Welcome to this episode of the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast. I'm back. I'm your host, Brian Kennedy, alongside my co-host, Josh Cox, Jamie Holt, and the big dog, Scott Medlin. And we've got another action-packed episode for you. We've got to talk about the big win Duke had this past Saturday against NC State. We've got another mailbag to open up. We've got breakdowns of the offense and defense. Did you know we've got a ton of stuff? But as always, before we get to any of that, Bills, we got to pay the bills. We got to keep all of these lights on so you can see our lovely faces and hear us on your radio. So let's get this rolling. This episode is brought to you by Realtor Matt Lunsford Bliven. When it comes to buying, selling, investing, or building here in Durham and around the Triangle, Matt's always ready to help you move the chains. He'll quarterback the whole process from kickoff to the final whistle so you never fumble a deal. If you're looking for a real estate win, put your trust in Realtor Matt Lunsford Bliven, helping you score big in the Durham market and beyond. For more information, email Matt at MLB@nestrealty.com. That always gets me for some reason. I think it's the at and then the at again. So, Matt, as always, we appreciate you being one of our sponsors as well as doing the ticket giveaways for the home games. Josh, who else do we have to thank?
Your home's HVAC system isn't meant to go all 4 quarters without a break. Now that fall has kicked off, we recommend you replace your air filters, listen for unusual noises from your system, clear leaves and debris around your outdoor unit, and most importantly, schedule your seasonal tune-up with Hometown Air. Mention Section 17 podcast for 10% off your next visit. Call 919-568-3212 or visit hometownairnc.com for your free quote today.
All right, that was our friends from Hometown Air, and then our third Hellraiser sponsor, our friends up at El Rodeo on North Duke Street in Durham. We want to thank them for always coming through in the clutch. Once again, I went there this past weekend. It's my daughter's favorite place to go. I have to tell you guys that. And I'll give you their order. My daughters get queso. Shout out Kayshawn Brown. They get queso. They also get steak nachos. And, so anyway, I got some ACP, the classic gringo. I got some ACP this week. And anyway, but hit that up. North Duke Street in Durham, 10 minutes north of campus. El Rodeo. Let them know you're there from the Section 17 podcast. Take a picture. Send it to us. As always, we do appreciate our sponsors.
Don't lie, Josh. That's your favorite restaurant, not your daughter's. It's yours.
I mean, I've only been going there for 20 years plus,
Where's your photo at on the wall? That's what I want to know.
We do have a friend of ours who has his basketball jersey on the wall of the Pizza Inn in Durham. And so shout out to Justin Goss.
Oh, Boss Goss. He
Yep.
destroys the buffet. That's why he's got that jersey up there. All right.
Give me the ball. Give me the ball. Give me the ball.
Justin, if you're listening, we love you, buddy. All right, we got to get to this game, and we got to give our thoughts. But before we do, we've got to hear from the man himself. Here is Manny Diaz post-game after the big win over NC State.
We talked about the hotel today, about our identity and how Duke football wins, which we felt we had gotten a little bit away from, and that we had to be defined by our mental toughness, our resiliency, and our togetherness. And we had a lot of evidence early on in the game that there would be reason to not to believe and to drop our gloves. And to our guys' credit, they stayed in the fight. They kept battling. We were certainly making a ton of mistakes, but eventually we made the big play in the game. The Freeman interception really flipped momentum. Offense capitalized with a touchdown. That's 3 straight games we scored a touchdown going into halftime, and then we came out and dominated the middle late with another score coming out. And so all of a sudden you turn a 2-touchdown deficit into an 8-point lead. And then from that point on, I loved our response. Again, they have an outstanding offensive football team. They were going to never go away. But some of the little plays that we weren't making, I thought our special teams were much improved tonight. Todd made the big kick. We blocked the field goal. They missed the PAT early, which ended up being points. We stopped the 2-point conversion. There's just a lot of little things that had not been going our way that we did a really nice job of tonight. So it's a platform for us to build upon. It's great to be 1-0 in the ACC. But we know that to accomplish the goals that we want to accomplish, that we will have to improve based off of how we played today in all 3 phases. But it's much, much more fun to work on improvement after a win than after a loss, and that'll be the goal for tomorrow. So with that, let's do questions.
And again, that was head coach Manny Diaz giving his thoughts post game after Duke's big win against NC State, 45-33. And I believe, as we're counting, it's something like 6,137 days since NC State captured a win inside of Wallace Wade. I, of course, was not there.
George W. was the president the last time they won. So
Strategery.
But they
That's
won
right.
but they won the attendance bowl.
Yes, they did.
That's what they
We'll
did.
get to
But
that. We'll get to that.
just
We'll get to
remember,
that.
fool them once, shame on fool me. Oh shoot! All right, your turn, Brian. You're good. Little
As
George
I was-
W. for you.
As I was saying, I was not there. I was taking a little bit of vacation that was planned before the schedule officially came out. So my apologies, but maybe I should just not come to any more home games because the outcome was pretty nice. As again, Duke won 45-33. But we're going to give our thoughts, break down the offense, the defense, and we're going to throw in special teams as well because we were pretty critical the week before. So we got to give the flowers where the flowers are due. So who wants to start? I tell you what, let's do this. Since we were critical of special teams, let's start with special teams because nothing we enjoy more than to eat crow on something that Duke improves upon. So, Josh, you said you were going to give your thoughts on the special teams performance against State. So go ahead and give your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. And to your point, we always try to be fair and honest on this podcast, and we have done that for years. If you guys remember, a kicker by the name of AJ Reed several years ago had a terrible season. I think ended up getting kicked off the team. When he came back, we were his biggest fans. We called the whole season the AJ Reed Redemption Tour. So, that is what it is. That's just the kind of way we roll here. We were very critical of the special teams unit, and deservedly so. We were critical of the special teams coordinator, and deservedly so. And so, what did they do? They took the fuel that they were probably seeing online and feeling inside of that locker room, and they turned it into an absolute dub this past Saturday. I don't remember all of the specific things, but we were keeping track during the game, and we believe that it was like 5-1. If you look at like blunders or like wins, like if you had like opportunities to win or lose a special teams play, like Duke special teams did little things like, pinning NC State at the 1 yard line on a punt. In the very first drive that Duke scored on, it was like 4th and 8 or something like that. And the punt team comes out and draws them offsides. Duke then goes for the 4th down and ends up scoring that first touchdown of the game based upon the special teams getting that. You had probably the play of the game, if we're very honest, was Cade Reynoldsson. It was not a great snap, obviously, but he has the presence of mind to go get the ball. I think for a split second there, he's like, I'm going to try to run this thing out, and then realized he had enough space to get the punt off. That was a major, major play for Duke. So shout out to Coach Infante. Shout out to the special teams unit. Polino was perfect on the day. Everything went really, really well. And so we got to give flowers where the flowers are due. Great improvement. And let's see if we can do it again. Oh, Wes Williams blocked field goal. Forgot about that. So anyway, we just won special teams. Absolutely. And I know these guys are about to talk offense and defense. When you win special teams, you can win a football game and still lose the total yards battle when you do special teams properly. Jamie, go ahead, Brian.
Would this be somewhat redemption for the SMU game last year?
Oh gosh, yeah, man. Redemption for that game and the Tulane game. I mean,
so let's think about this really quick. And I know I'm kind of going off script here, but we remember that SMU game. That was a game that Duke should have had in hand. Yes, Coca-Cola sugar, zero sugar. But special teams is what did the team in. And like you said, same with Tulane. So it's good to see it's not another week of falters and missed field goals and blocked field goals on Duke's side. So to see that rapid improvement 1 week from what happened, kudos to Gabe Infante and his team. Who's next? Come on, someone click the unmute button. There we go.
I'll go ahead and go. So I was taking the offense this week, and it was actually a relatively fast start for the offense because, as Josh mentioned, they got that 5 yards offsides and were able to go for it on 4th down and scored on the first possession of the game. And State had already been up 7-0, but it looked like the offense was off to a fast start. But then it kind of got into a little bit of a lull there. But then Duke scored on consecutive possessions, showing the quick strike ability. Basically 2 touchdowns within a span of 2 minutes there to take the lead at the half. But what I think the most important thing that I took from the offense this past Saturday night was the fact that there was balance. We saw the running game. We saw them get 35 carries between Quez, Shepard, and Castle, mostly Shepard and Castle. But we saw the balance, and Mensa only ended up with 28 pass attempts, which is a better number in my opinion. You don't really want to see your quarterback throwing. I think it was 51 passes against Tulane. Like that's up there. So Mensa, missed out on his fourth consecutive 300-yard game by just a little bit. I think he had 269 yards, but still 3 touchdowns. He's got that electric arm talent. You see it. Another thing we noticed were the 2 tight end sets. I think there was multiple 2 tight end sets. We actually saw the tight ends used. Hazley, 4 catches, I believe. A couple of big grabs when Mensa was in trouble, and he was the kind of the safety valve. And of course, the big one from Landon King. That was just amazing, where he just mossed that defensive back in the end zone. That was just as impressive of a catch as I've seen from a Duke player in some time. But all in all, I thought it was just a great game, a great execution from the offense, great play calling from Jonathan Brewer, and we'll get into that even more as we go along. But the offense just continues to roll along. I mean, to me, they're getting more and more impressive each week. Queso, that's another guy I want to shout out. Queso, he continues to get open and find spots and get open. And I think he averaged something like 13 yards a catch or something. I'm not looking at the stats, but like something around that. So he continues to get open. Samir, just guys are getting open. Mensa hit 8 different receivers with at least 1 catch. One to shout out Chase Tyler, kind of that contested catch that got us within. I don't think it was a first down, but it got us within a yard, and we were able to pick up the first down after the fact. So if he had ended up dropping that ball, then things obviously were different. But that was a very contested catch and a very, very nice catch. So it was nice to see Chase Tyler out there. But all in all, I thought it was just a great performance from the offense.
I won't add anything but this. Duke was down 20-7, and they went on a 31-6 run. 31-6 to make it 38-26. So, Scott, let's talk defense.
Well, and 38-13 overall. By the end of the game, I meant to mention that. But thanks for
Come on,
coming in the clutch with the pinch hit.
So yeah, not the greatest of days for the defense as far as giving up numbers. So I didn't realize this until a few minutes ago when I happened to be looking at it. So if you guys have been wondering what the heck I've been doing for the last 10 minutes, I've been looking at the stats and stuff, trying to get myself prepared. State had as many punts Saturday as I did. 0. They didn't punt all day, which is interesting. CJ Bailey went 29 of 39. I didn't realize he did that well. I thought he did worse than that. But 29-39, threw for 369 yards. And up until like the last 2 drives, he had more passing yards than Duke did of total offense. So that was kind of interesting. Threw 2 touchdowns and threw 3 interceptions. And I kept repeating over and over again, will the real CJ Bailey please stand up? Please stand up. And he did. And he kept throwing it to the guys wearing black. So he did a great job. Beautiful job, CJ. And thinking as far as the running defense, the crazy thing is, and I heard the stat today, and I know Jordan mentioned this on Twitter, and I mentioned it a couple of times tweeting, 23 missed tackles. Now, folks, I made this joke Saturday night. I probably shouldn't make this joke, but it's me, and I don't give a flying for it. So at this point, if you're in the backfield and you have the football, if our guys were getting paid NIL for tackling in the backfield for that, they are going to go hungry. They're not going to make a dime of money because right now we couldn't tackle our buddies' 2 daughters that are 5 and 3. Okay. in the backfield, unless it's a quarterback. Running back, you forget about it. We're not tackling them. So, but we did get better as the game went on. And the reason I say that, because they had 39 rushes. So you would think with the two huge long run touchdowns, they'd have 300 yards. They only ended up with 171 yards rushing. So you're talking about that was what 120, not 120, but somewhere in that ballpark on 2 rushes.
It was over 100. It was over 100 on 2 rushes.
Yeah, so you're talking about 71 out of the other 37. So yeah, I'll take that all day. But taking a step back a little bit, talking about the numbers, I mean, Deshaun Stone had a great game, and part of the reason why he was the ACC Player of the Week on the defensive side, caught the first pass, caught the first tip ball, and then ended up, returning it, which was a great play by, I think that was Kamari Robinson that tipped it, or maybe Chandler, but either way, it was Chandler.
Okay, it was Chandler.
So Chandler tipped it. I'm gonna go back to him in a minute, but he made a great tip, and then they picked it up and went down the field and stuff. So, but he had 11 tackles. Caleb Weaver had 11 tackles. Francois had 10 tackles. So obviously the thing that hurt the most was the fact that Nick Morris went down with the injury, and unfortunately they lost him again for another season. One of the things they mentioned about Nick being the guy is, and we know Nick well, we know the family well. He's worked his behind off to get back out there playing, and unfortunately, it didn't go his way. But he will be the next assistant coach as the season goes on that sideline, helping these guys out and looking towards the future. We'll probably get into that in a few minutes. And then Kendall Johnson also got hurt, and he's on crutches, and he had a walking boot. So don't really think we're going to see him Saturday. If he does, it'd be a miracle. And hey, if Benny Hinn heals him, praise the Lord in heaven. But other than that, I want to say it was a really bad day, but it really wasn't if you look at it at the end of the day. So I think we could have done better. But as the second half went, they changed some things. Coach Packey mentioned how well we did in the second half, doing a whole lot better than what we were doing. So, stats hurt you sometimes, but the fact that they had 4 turnovers and we had 0 definitely helps on the scoreboard side any day.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, if you can keep everything clean, like look what happens. You win ball games. It even happened to the Carolina Panthers on Sunday, but I won't get there. I'm not going to go there.
God, I knew you were going to find a way to put it in there. Jamie. One thing I will say this, guys, maybe you can help me. And I asked this on Twitter, and a lot of people were commenting, laughing. I actually got a text from one of our good buddies, Kyler. I didn't understand the logic of State going for both 4th downs when they were only down 9 points. You kick 2 field goals there. You're down 3 points heading, and I watched the condensed version. Thanks again, Josh, for that. Was it heading into halftime? They would have been down 3 or so. I can't remember because they were down 28-20 at half.
21-20. It was 21-20. They would have been up.
Yeah. Okay. So, and apparently State's kicker has been having problems because a State fan asked me if I had any eligibility left. So
yeah, I don't think
that's how bad it is.
I don't think Dorian trusts him at all. So that's. And he did
he missed, got one blocked. Yeah. So, I just think, we've been there before, and we've seen Duke football over the years. I mentioned the AJ Reed season. Literally Cup was just like, if it's 4th and less than 15, we're going for it. It just was what it was.
Football.
So, what was
that was it, Brian?
What was the running joke Brian had that year? Was like, if we weren't at the 5-yard line, we were too far away from the
still not in field goal range. Nope. So, we're at the 1. Nope.
It was bad. It was bad.
Oh my goodness. Well, we've got to dive into a mailbag. We've got another hefty mailbag. Thanks to each and every one of you who submitted your questions, and we are going to talk about Syracuse. I know sometimes we go off the rails answering questions about our last opponent, and we fail to mention some of the things about our upcoming opponent. So we are going to make sure that we bring some quality when it comes to Syracuse. So, Jamie, let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. Give us our first question.
All right. Comes from Timothy Gonzalez at Timothy 0873110. He said we needed that.
Hey, wait, Jamie. I got to say this. Yeah. Shout out my boy, He always talks about my boy on Twitter. So shout out Tim, Texas native. Need to get him to Wallace Wade. Shout out to our friends the Scums. We got to make it happen.
Yep. He said we needed that against State. He said his mom and him were screaming and yelling at home all the way from San Antonio, Texas, like Josh just mentioned. And he says his question, if y'all had to give a game-winning ball, one for offense and one for defense, who would it be?
I'm going to go first because I watched the highlights. Mr. King of the Castle. Castle was just a man amongst boys. Yes, he was the king. Got to give him his flowers as well because we've talked about this, the stable. Who's going to be the next man up? And Anderson definitely was the next man up. And that 66-yard run he had was just perfection in motion. So he is a Mike Allstott Jr. Just
Allstott. Yeah,
Allstott.
Look, no, I got you. Cam Scatabo. He's a Scatabo.
Cam Skibbity Doodah. Yes.
Yep. That's the goat. And now to Scott, shout out to the Denver Broncos. You got a little Peyton Hillis there. And I know we're making like super white stereotype things here, but it just is what it is. I'm sorry. We don't even mean anything by it.
And one thing real quick, before you go again, Brian, I meant to shout out at Blade for Duke too, because he asked something similar. Who is your unsung hero from the state W as well? So
yeah, what about defense, guys? Scott, you got any thoughts on defensive player of the game? I mean, I think the ACC, gave it to Deshaun. So
I think Deshaun Stone was the guy. I mean, I thought he played a great game. He was everywhere, and you can see where like last year, all that time he got in there with the injuries that we were having and stuff, and trying to get all the youth out there. He's had a great season, and it's actually transferred over to this year. He's playing really well. But I'm gonna give a shout out real fast. I know we mentioned that Musa Kane, because he was 1-on-1 against Joe Lee, and Joe Lee didn't make but one catch the whole night that I remember. So they stopped him, and hey, you can't ask. That's a true freshman, well, not true freshman, but a sophomore that with very little time under his belt. So he did a great job. Man-to-man defense. You don't get that a lot on the field for football, but hey, it was a great job that he did.
I'm gonna pull a Brian here, and I'm gonna say I'd like to shout out the entire offensive line. In all seriousness, though, but they started opening up holes in the run game, and like we had been worried about that all year. Like, look, why can't we run the ball? Why can't we run the ball? But it certainly happened on Saturday. So that was something I enjoyed seeing. I know they did give up 3 sacks, but it didn't feel like Mensa was under a ton of pressure. So I think a couple of those sacks may have even been like coverage type deals where just didn't have anybody open. Anyways, next question at Matthew Lofton 15. Speaking of Cade Reynolson, might Duke's punt after the bad snap end up being in a group of one of the most important plays of the year?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I will say this. I think you don't have to think back, but 2 seasons to understand that one play can absolutely change the course of your entire season, right? And so Duke fans will never forget 4th and 16. Like they will not forget 4th and 16 because the domino effect from 4th and 16, your starting quarterback gets hurt, and the season just starts to unravel from there. So great question. I definitely think you could say that was the play of the game, because if that punt gets blocked, if he gets tackled in the end zone, like whatever happens there, that's either a safety or a touchdown, depending on if they recover it or if Cade recovers it. And then the presence of mind, a little bit of shout out to the Australian rules football there with Cade Reynolson. He was able to get 2 or 3 steps off before he kicked it, and then got the ball to like midfield, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, close to midfield. And so really put his teammates in a decent spot there compared to where we would have been. So I think it's a great question. That's a great point. And shout out to Cade Reynolson for being very aware.
I would say give kudos to the DJ, because after that play, he played from the land down under. So give the man a bottle of Vegemite. He did a
Hey,
great
shout out
job.
the DJ's been great this year.
Yeah, he's done
I
a great
mean,
job. I think
he's been
really
great.
good.
Yeah.
And didn't one thing after that punt, didn't Duke come up with like a 4-and-out? Like State ended up going for it on 4th down, and they stopped them. So
Yep.
that was just a huge turn of events right there. That could have been either a safety or a touchdown potentially for State, and turned into nothing. So that was
To our point last year, it's Beamer ball. Virginia
Right.
Tech won football games by doing smart things on special teams. So yes, love it.
all right. At Bleed in Duke Blue, he says, I don't want to sound too critical because I'm proud of Duke for getting the win yesterday, big time win. So I don't want to focus too negatively. But the defensive issues can't be ignored either. So what do we make of it? Is it packy, scheme, technique? Just too many missed tackles.
I mean, so it's the same exact scheme from last year, I'm assuming. I mean, there's probably some tweaks, based upon the personnel. But I don't know. I mean, there's the team doesn't it's weird. I mean, we definitely have the potential of going after the quarterback and leaving the running game wide open for opposing teams. We definitely have that potential. But I don't know that I necessarily saw that in the NC State game. In fact, one of the sacks was Josiah Green from the interior defensive line. So they got the push. So I didn't see that this game. We are not tackling. You're exactly right. I mean, there's a couple of really bad clips that if NC State would have won this game, they would have been pushing all over social media of just broken tackles. And so I don't know what it is. I don't know if we're practicing. I don't know if we hit in practice like we should, or I don't say like we should. I'm not a head coach, but I don't know if we hit in practice as much as maybe old school football teams would hit in practice. I don't know, but we're not wrapping up, and it is not one person. It is a lot of people that are not wrapping up. I mean, there was guys out on the edge that got torn down. There were linebackers that got tackles broken. There were defensive linemen that got tackles broken. So it can't be the scheme because the scheme worked last year. It's just got to be these guys, man. I mean, listen, we're critical of the coaching staff when we need to be, but at the end of the day, we're not singling one player out. But the defensive side of the football, they got to tackle people. When you get your hands on somebody, you got to tackle them. It's like a wide receiver. You get two hands on the football, you got to catch it. It's the same on defense. You get two hands on a guy with a football, you got to bring him down. And I don't even care if it means you get a penalty every now and then for grabbing a face mask. I don't care. Bring the guy to the ground.
So Packy today mentioned in his part of the press conference that they have followed the same plan. They have a same rules, shall they say, on how to tackle. And unfortunately, not everybody does the rules or follows the criteria the way they're asking for them to do it. So when they start learning to do the things the way that he wants it done, and the second half was with a better plan they tackled, they will be much better. It was one of the things he mentioned. And, it's true because in the second half, you could tell a big difference between the two things. But you practice. He said that starting last night and this week, they're going to practice hitting and tackling and putting people on the ground. Because you got to get those bad habits out of your system now as you go further in conference play, because you're 1-0 right now. You still have 7 more games to play in the conference. So you have to get this out of your system now because you're going to be playing two teams that run the football coming up very soon.
And to go off of that, not tackling has shown in the stats. Entering Syracuse, Duke has the 111th best defense in the country, and that's out of 132 schools, folks, for those of you keeping score at home. They had the 82nd best rushing defense, allowing 153 yards per game. This one's the one that surprised all of us. They have the 111th best passing defense in the country, giving up 261 yards per carry. Yards per game. So I think I speak for all of us when I say we want to see these numbers improved so that when we get to the later games, say late October, early November, we've gone from 82nd and 111 to top 50 in some categories, maybe even top 75 for the passing D. But that one surprised a lot of us, is that the passing D right now, stat-wise, is worse off than the rushing D.
All right. Next up, Byron Lee Black off of Facebook. He wants to know, do we think we will see some Bradley Gompers now with the injury, unfortunate injury to Nick Morris Jr.? We hated to see that Saturday night. We love Nick Morris and his family and wish him a speedy recovery.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see a couple of freshmen. And Scott already mentioned that Kendall Johnson was on crutches. He was also not listed on the two deep for this week. If you looked at the released two deep from Monday, and so that wasn't a typo, I don't believe. So anyway, I think you're going to see Gompers. You're going to see Elliot Shopper. I believe I'm saying that right. We've seen his family the last 2 weeks at tailgate. If we're not, you guys will let us know, I'm sure. But I know we will see some of those guys. And here's the thing, especially Bradley Gompers. I mean, a highly recruited guy. I mean, he was right there neck and neck with Bryce Davis in the recruiting rankings as far as like highly touted 4-star guy coming in. And so, listen, this is how the guys get reps. I mean, things happen in football. We all know that. Things happen in football. People go down as next man up, and it just so happens that true freshmen are the next men up. And this is nothing new for the Duke defense. Mekhi Jones and man, I'm mess Andrew P back there. Pelly. Yeah, Pelly back there as a safety. Those guys were playing in the second half, in the fourth quarter of the Duke NC State game as true freshmen. And so, shout out to Pat Key for being willing to play these guys, and we'll see what they got.
All right. If nobody else, will move on to the next one. Lane Phipps. I thought this was good because this could get us talking a little bit. What is our reaction to the NC State crowd being so classless? And he has two separate instances he's talking about. The loud booing when Wesley Williams went down with a cramp. He says it was obviously legit, but I'm not sure if it was or not. We'll see. It could have been. I mean, it was high. I cramped up a little bit. Even when they got him off the field, they were still booing. But I think in State fans' defense, a little bit right there, they thought he faked it.
Well, and he waved to the crowd when he got up. So I mean, it is what it is.
That was actually really funny. And then he said when Nick Morris Jr. went down with his serious injury, the State fans started their stupid Wolfpack chant while he was being tended to. Super disrespectful. But he says he's got to give Duran his props for checking on Nick. But the fans showed me why they are arguably worse than the Chapel Bill college fans. And then similar had Lainey Hagler, shout out to a sponsor. She said this also when the track and field team was walking up the steps after being recognized for their ACC championship. There was a group of State fans that were flipping them off, and we saw this because that was like right in front of us, flipping them off, booing and yelling at them yelling at track and field team. Like, really? Couldn't just congratulate them on winning. But all that said, let's start with this. State fans are the gatekeepers of fandom. Anyways, like they won the attendance bowl. They, if you didn't go to Duke, you can't be a Duke fan. State fans gatekeep all that stuff. Although we have several people that listen to us as Duke graduates and are happy that we cheer for the team, we root for the team, we do this podcast. State fans are just in my opinion, not all of them. We know our good State fans. We have personal friends that are great State fans, but there's just that select few that get on you see them on like X all the time, like, but did you go to Duke? No, I didn't, but I grew up in Durham and I've been going to Duke football games for my entire life. So I didn't know that was a requirement. I forgot to look at the rules.
That's 75 years, folks. He's been going to Duke football games.
I mean, y'all got any other thoughts on that, on the State fans?
I would say this, as far as the Wesley Williams thing, Manny mentioned today that Wesley had a hard time keeping down his lunch during the game. And that was one of the things that supposedly happened during that play. He cramped up and got sick during that play, and the fact that, number one, it happened on the state sideline. A bunch of their players did come out there and voiced their opinions about him laying down. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, when he started waving, I laughed my backside off because I thought that was hilarious. And back to what Laney mentioned, yeah, they're pointing at the scoreboard as these track and field guys are walking up the stairs. Yeah, these are track and field guys. They don't give a crap about the football score and whether you drove a tractor here, drove a Benz, drove a pickup truck, drove the milk wagon, whatever it was you got over here from Agricultural State University College over in Wake Med Park or wherever the crap that place is over there. And then, honestly, state fans are just stupid. The last national champion that I remember winning something was a guy I used to work with. And guess what he did? Bass fishing. That's all you need to say. If that's the last individual national championship you've won, I got 2 words for you. I don't give a crap. I don't care how many words that was.
Wow. I thought we were going to have a 2-minute tirade with Josh, but Scott yet again coming in the clutch. This has perplexed me for the last couple of years, and maybe you guys are with me on this. I don't know when it happened, but I'd never had any problems with state fans. None of us did. And then all of a sudden, they started to dislike Duke fans and then start playing well, you didn't go there, so you're not a real fan. I'm a fourth generation Duke fan. My grandfather came in the 1930s, pulled for Duke right after they went from Trinity to Duke, and it's run in our family. My boys are fifth generation Duke fans. You know what? I'll say it like it is. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't rich enough to go to Duke, but that doesn't mean I can't be a fan of the school. I personally, this is just me talking, I personally think state fans are mad at Duke fans because of Duke's success, finally, in football. By the way, this is the first time since 1983 to 1985 that Duke's won 3 straight against NC State. Just throwing that out there. It's only been 40 years. So maybe that's why they were also a little upset. But it's funny. It might be the generation of fans because, just a little side note, I was at the dump dropping off some trash one day, and I was wearing a Duke shirt. State fan goes by me and goes like this, just smiling at me. And my first instinct was, why do y'all hate us so much? He goes, what are you talking about? Now, mind you, this gentleman was probably in his mid-50s. I said, I don't get it. I said, the last 5 years or so, state fans have been railing on Duke fans. And he goes, not me. He goes, I have nothing but respect for you guys. And it's always been ABC. Anybody but Carolina. That's how it's always been. And the majority of state fans that I know feel that way. I don't know if it's just the new generation of state fans. I don't know if that they're jealous of the success that we're having and the expectations that they're setting for their football team that never come true. I'm not trying to be funny. I am genuinely trying to figure out what it is about Duke and Duke fans that state fans hate the most. So, I mean, thoughts and prayers to y'all.
It's the rise of the burner accounts.
I was about to say the exact same thing. Half of them are burners. Half of them are burners.
Yes.
They just, it's crazy. But we'll move on and get a couple more questions here and lead us into a Syracuse preview as well. Peter Dodge on Facebook thought this was good. Has Jonathan Brewer arrived? With the exception of a couple of series, we saw an up-tempo attack that showed vertical passing. We saw Hazley with 4 receptions, Landon King with an outstanding catch for a touchdown, and the nice utilization of Nate Shepard and Anderson Castle. All in all, we're seeing the maturation process gelling.
Yeah. So you guys know this. I've been a Brewer defender, for the last 2 years, and he called a great game. Now, obviously, the Shepard Castle, as we tweeted, Shepard and Castle LLC there for the second half, was partly due to Jaquez Moore, being banged up. But you saw no Peyton Jones, no carries in this game. He may have been in the game, but he didn't get any carries. And you really saw him hone in on those 2 guys as your running back 1-2 punch. I actually love that. I think utilizing the tight ends was very important. And then the big 4th down call where you run the play fake to Anderson Castle and Cooper Barkate gets the long touchdown. Brewer told us after the game that privately that that's something they had been setting up. They had been working that in in practice, and they had been setting that up. They were just waiting for the right time to use it. And it was absolutely the right time. I mean, he was wide open. Like he completely burned his guy. So yeah, I mean, shout out to him. Here's the thing. I understand like offensive coordinators are very easy to be the targets. Like completely understand that. And so criticism is fair on some of those things. But hey, when he calls a good game, you got to give credit where credit's due there. And so yeah, shout out to him.
But we also talked about this last year incoming. Maybe he didn't have the right pieces for his offense. Not a knock on Jordan, not a knock on Malik, not a knock on anyone from last year's team. But certain schemes require certain players. You see Cooper Barkate come in. Folks, he's 18th in the country in receiving yards right now. When's the last time Duke had a top 25 receiver in the country, not the ACC?
Hey, and if I may say, due respect, I mean, shout out to Hal Barkate and the family. They would say this: he's dropped, and I'm talking about like not like contested drop. He's dropped 3 or 4, and then he's had at least 2 or 3 others that Darian put about 6 inches to 12 inches too far outside, and he tiptoed along the sideline and didn't get him. So I mean, he could be in the top 15, squarely in the top 15 right now, if just normal things happened.
Correct. Along that, and folks, I get it. I understand. We've lost to Tulane. We've lost to Illinois. Both teams that, for some reason, the week after they beat us, they struggle, or the week or two. Shout out Indiana. Just throwing that out there. But Darian Mensah's 3rd in the country right now, folks, in passing yards. 1,305 yards. You know who's second? Steve Angeli, who's not going to be playing anymore this year, and we'll talk more about that here shortly. But Duke has the 26th best offense in the country. And that's with a 2-2 record. Would love to be 4-0, would love to be 3-1, but you take what you have you take what you get with what you have. 10th in passing, rushing is only 98th in the country, but I think that could vastly improve depending on some of these teams that Duke's about to play in Syracuse, in Cal, in Georgia Tech. But you get what I'm saying, folks. The offense is clicking right now. And going back, I feel like last year it was defense here, offense here. We've kind of gone like this. If Duke can get to about right here, 50-50, oh boy, you talk about a formidable opponent in Duke. That would be, and hopefully as we get to Death Valley let's say Death Valley November 1st, if Duke can square these things up, Clemson's struggling right now. I don't know if they're the Florida State of last year for this year, but you kind of wonder that. Your CFP hopes are done, basically.
We can wrap this up with this statement.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing this up, Brian.
Yeah.
We potentially broke Dabo 2 years ago. It's just not been the same. It hasn't been the same. We won't say anymore. We'll reserve our thoughts.
Our bad.
Yeah, my bad. Like it was that walk from the visitors' locker room over to the sideline that broke him.
All right. I'm gonna get us into a little bit of a Syracuse preview here with this last question, as only at the Duke of QP could. Like this is a good way of getting into a Syracuse preview, and very much the Duke's the Duke's style. The Carrier Dome has a reputation for strange things happening. Will we juice the Cuse, or will the orange squeeze the devil's dick? He's always coming up with something.
I'm so glad he's back, because those first 2 weeks I was about to put out a wellness check because he wasn't acting like himself.
Wait, he replied to the official Duke football account today when they announced the ACC After Dark for the Cal game, and he said, "Is it going to be broadcast on Pig Skinamax After Dark?" Bro, that was an epic comment. Pig Skinamax. So anyway,
I gotta correct you though, Duke, just like you always correct me, and I appreciate the correctness of everything. It's not the Carrier Dome anymore; it's the JMA Wireless Dome. We're not going back in time. Just throwing that out there.
The pettiness of Mike Elko coming out in these guys right here.
Same.
But Syracuse. Yes, Syracuse. Right? Syracuse. Brian, I think you've got some like kind of counting stats for
Yeah.
Syracuse and where they rank. We can start there, and then Scott, if you want to talk a little bit after that on that QB, and kind of we can talk a little bit about that situation.
Well, let's start with the defense. And, predictions we're going to get to here in a few, but their defense is not what everyone thinks it is. And maybe it's just they're playing possum. Folks, they're 126th in the country overall for total defense. They're allowing 455 yards per game. That is a lot of yards. And so as we were talking with Darian Mensah, we could probably see another 300-yard game from Darian this weekend. As far as the passing defense goes, they're dead last. Oh no, second to last. 132nd. I know I said there was 132 teams. It's 134. 132nd in passing. They're giving up almost 300 yards a game, and they're 91st in rushing. 158 yards given up a game. So if we're comparing apples and oranges, this could be a Big 12 shootout if corrections are not made on for both teams. We could see. You remember when Duke and Pitt used to have those shootout games? Like the defenses just didn't get on the field. We could be seeing that this weekend. Although, of course, the big breaking news: Steve Angeli, as I mentioned earlier, is out for the rest of the year. We don't know how his backup's going to be, and I'm sure Scott's going to talk about that, or one of us will. But the offense was clicking for Syracuse. But the question then is, again, I know I'm repeating myself, how will they act under a new quarterback? How will they act under having a new field general? So a lot of unknowns. Hate it for Steve Angeli because he was having a record year for the Orange. You hate to see a player of that caliber go down so early in the season. But it will be interesting to see how Padkey and Duke's defense game plans for someone they weren't expecting to see, if we're being honest with each other. They were expecting to see Steve Angeli and find a way to stop him. Scott, was it you that was going through who the backup is, who's now going to be starting? Okay.
Yeah, so it's Ricky Collins, who was the backup for 2 seasons down at supposedly where the real Death Valley is now in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And he's not really done anything. He was 7 for 7 in his career coming into Syracuse. He's 7 of 14 right now, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns. So not a lot to show from that. To be honest with you, if you look at the stats, they're a two-headed monster in the backfield with Willis and Nixon. So Willis has 233 yards. That's their leading rusher. So that's, that doesn't seem like that's a whole lot, and that's on 52 carries. So that's really not even that big. Then their leading receiver is Gill Jr. with 310 yards. But VR, I think, is the Villarelli. I can't. Villari, which looks like they're tied in. He's guys are the most receptions on the team. He has 20 receptions. So, but like I said, their leading receiver only has 310 yards receiving on the season, but he does, well, at the time when Peanut Butter and Jelly was there, he was passing it around to a bunch of different players. So, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Ricky Collins, what he does. I mean, I would assume as pure athlete would be my guess. If he was at LSU, they're usually their quarterbacks are like in the pocket, but I'm thinking this guy's a little athletic and stuff. So we'll see, because it's going to be different, obviously, because this is his first start of his career. So the butterflies are going to be there. So it would be nice to see the Duke defense welcome him multiple times with his back on the turf, looking up at the air-conditioned units on top of the building.
Yeah, I will say this. You can take whatever passing numbers that Syracuse has, and by the way, they're gaudy. Like, they're gaudy good. Brian's just sharing with us 4th in the nation passing offense, over 350 yards a game. But you could throw all that out the window because that was Steve Angeli. That's kind of the weird thing that I know that Coach Patke and Coach Diaz are probably going through in their game planning. It's like, what are we going to see? What are we going to get? But I mean, you can't really take their passing numbers into consideration. Now, they don't run the ball, terribly well. But maybe they will. Maybe they'll come in with more 2 tight end sets. Like Duke did this past weekend against NC State. Like we kind of changed up a little bit of our scheme on offense some. But you never know. But all that to say, you never wish an injury on anyone. Is this a benefit For Duke, absolutely. I mean, if you can imagine, listen, the second most passing yards in the country, Angeli, the third most, Darian Mensah. Can you imagine if Duke was like, oh, we're heading up to Syracuse with no Darian Mensah, right? Like, how would that change Duke's offense? A ton. And so, that's what we're going to face on Saturday. I hope Duke's up for the challenge. We are on turf. I pray that we have a good turf game with no injuries, and we're prayers up. So
Look, I mean, the blueprint is there to win this game. We saw it against State on Saturday. Keep everything clean. No turnovers. Get some balance. Run the football, and get Mensah to throw some rockets, as we know that electric arm talent he's got. And even if he keeps on kind of stays in the pocket a little bit more rather than rolling out, maybe we can get something going down there. And Syracuse, look, their defense just isn't that good, but they looked great against Clemson on Saturday. So I think that's what was kind of eye-opening. Like, all of a sudden, they pretty much dominated Clemson from the start. I mean, they scored a touchdown right out the gate, and then they came back with an onside kick. We were watching the game right there at the tailgate. They came back with an onside kick immediately and just thoroughly dominated Clemson. So nothing going to be easy up there in the Carrier Dome, or whatever Brian called it.
The JMA Wireless Dome. So we're in telecommunications now. That will do it for our mailbag. Again, thanks to each and every one of you who submitted your questions. If we did not get your question this week, don't worry. There's always next week as we get ready for the Cal Bears after this week's game. We got to move on. Time for another tirade. It was another good one last week from Scott, right? Scott was the one that tiraded a lot. And we're going around the corner again, and Josh is wanting to tirade for 2 minutes. I've got your 2-minute clock, Josh. You let me know when you're ready, and we'll get this thing rolling.
All right, 3, 2, and 1. Listen, Duke Athletics social media accounts. Just the Duke Athletics one, not the football one. Duke Athletics. We're trying to build a football culture around game day. We're trying to make the game day experience the best it can be. Duke football invested a bunch of money last season using Endeavor, putting all these new elements into the game day experience. Last year, we put together a collective tailgate. A lot of people have been tailgating randomly around the Blue Zone lots, and we decided, hey, let's put something together. Let's make it really awesome. We understand that Duke has got a small number of fans. We understand that there's incredible tailgating. Shout out to our friends in Raleigh. There's incredible tailgating at other places. The SEC, the Big 12, there's incredible tailgates. But we're trying our best. And so we have a really large, comparatively, tailgate over in the B3 lot. But what happened this past weekend? Duke Athletics, and by the way, no shade thrown at the people that they talked to. No shade at that. But they put on their social media tailgating at Duke before the NC State game. And it was terrible. It was extremely, extremely not the best foot forward. It was, we baked some, cookies, we have some, we make some cupcakes for the opposing team. There was no real tailgate culture. There was no fun. There was no excitement. If I watched that video, I would be like, hey, I'm going to go out to eat before the game and not tailgate. So all that being said, for the Georgia Tech game, the Blue Zone lot, B3, right outside the visitors gate, we will have tents lined all the way up in that area. You'll come hang out. You missed Con Knipple a couple of games ago. You missed Josh Snead this past weekend. Who knows what you'll see, but be at the B3 tailgate.
With 4 seconds to spare. Very nice, Josh. Very nice. So, yeah, I mean, we get it. We understand it. But at the same time, when the mark's here and you're over here, got to read the room, guys. Got to read the room. All right. It's time to give our thoughts, our predictions for this weekend's upcoming game on the Deuce. Noon kickoff against the mighty Orange of Syracuse. Josh, you're wanting to say something.
I was just wondering what we're giving away, Brian.
Oh, I'm glad you asked that, Josh. Scott, and I appreciate you helping out in the duties while I was gone. We're going to up our game. We're going back to a long sleeve T-shirt, and it's kind of a theme going here, guys. If you can look, it's kind of the same
That
font
Heather.
and the Heather, but also the same font and styles we had with last week's shirt and T-shirt. Sorry. So yeah, that is the giveaway prize for this week. So we will put that post out Thursday, usually Thursday, correct? A reminder, folks, you must submit your predictions in the Google Forms. If you put it as a response, it will not count. Also, what we were given by the equipment staff, again, shout out to the equipment staff at Duke, is what we were given. If we reach out to you and you say, oh, I'm a medium, that's fantastic. It's an extra large. You're getting an extra large. So just some subtle reminders, some housekeeping. We love you all. Okay, last week's winner, and I'm very impressed by this. Last week's prediction winner only missed it by 2 points total. Total. Mr. Kimball Wallace predicted Duke to win 45-33. So, Kimball, you are the NC State prediction winner. I believe Scott has already reached out to you, and we will not hold it against you that you had a unc.edu email. That's all I'm going to say. You're not a UNC fan,
Hey,
and if
we
you are,
don't care who pays your bills. We don't care who pays your bills.
yeah, absolutely. As long as you don't use it to wash your car, and you send us photos of you using the apparel to wash the cars, so you will be getting your apparel here soon. Now for this week, again, new kickoff on the Deuce against Syracuse. Duke is still favored at 4.5 points. It opened at 6.5. It's gone down to 4.5. And as I stated earlier in the episode, the over/under is 60.5. So Vegas thinks there's going to be some scoring going on up in the JMA Wireless Dome. Who wants to go first? I'm going to
kick us off. I'll kick us off. All right.
All right, go ahead.
I'm gonna be quick because I know look, man, we're at the hour. We're getting close to the hour. I'm gonna think Duke's gonna go traditional. We have not really done traditional yet this year. I think we're gonna go blue, white, blue. The old school blue, white, blue. And you know what? We're gonna go super traditional. We're just gonna the white D, blue, white, blue, kind of vanilla, kind of blah, but still, it's a good solid look. All right. This is gonna be a high scoring game. The crazy thing is with this new quarterback, I just don't see Syracuse being able to keep up with Duke's offense, right? I mean, if Syracuse is going to win this game, they're going to have to score on special teams. They're going to have to do the intangibles. I just don't believe that with a first-time starter, at quarterback, that they're going to be able to just outscore what Darian Mensah and this Duke offense can do. So I do believe Duke's going to hit the 40s again. I'm going to say that Duke is going to win this game 41-28. 41-28 Blue Devils.
I'll go next. Yeah, I agree with Vegas. It's going to be a shootout. I think we will see a Big 12 shootout based off of the facts that I just presented earlier in the episode. You got to go with that. However, I think Duke refound their mojo against NC State. A lot of fans, including myself, are a little nervous being down 20-7, but they found what they were looking for. I think they're going to continue that with Syracuse reeling with Angeli out. I've got Duke winning 38-24, so it's just a little over the over at 62 points. I think Duke's going to go with a whiteout. I know Syracuse brings the orange. So whiteout with the Gothic script, I think that'd be a clean look. The whiteout Stormtroopers. Duke will get their second win in a row and go 2-0 in ACC play.
Oh, go ahead and go. I agree with basically everything y'all said. With Angeli being out, I just don't feel like. I feel like this is a game that the defense could get right, but also I feel like Mensah's going to be able to. Mensah, Shepard, Castle, they're all going to be able to get in the end zone. I like Duke 38. And I was really close to Brian. I'm gonna go Duke 38, Syracuse 23. Syracuse 23.
$1, Bob.
I am also gonna go the icy whites, but I'm gonna change up the helmet and go with the blue D.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the uniform out of the way. I think we're gonna go with the blue helmet with the big white D and white. And if they throw the blue pants in there, I'm probably going to be like Wesley Williams during the game Saturday. But anyway, that's just me. I kind of like the icy white look. I would love icy white all the way through. As far as the score, I think we learned something last week that when the King Castle is coming down the field, get off the tracks because that locomotive is getting ready to run your backside over. And unfortunately for Mrs. Fran Brown, that they're going to take an L and he ain't going to take another bath for a week. So that sucks for her because she's not going to sleep in the same bed with him because he doesn't take baths after he loses, just in case anybody did not know that. He's really superstitious or dumb, whichever way you want to look at it. I at least take a bath. I may have superstitions, but I got to wash the booty and everything. So other than that, let's see. Score. I'm gonna do the dollar bid, Bob. I was thinking 41-20. So I'm gonna be right there in the same range, right over the over. But I do think it's gonna be a fun game. I do think Duke's gonna win. And like I think Jamie and everybody else said, it's a really great opportunity to get right on defense.
Awesome. Well, that's really cool. Hopefully we're all correct on that. Make sure, as Brian mentioned, that you fill out the Google form. I think we were over 100 again. This is the third week in a row of over 100 people submitting. So that's awesome. Continue to do that. We continue giving stuff away. Want to remind you, if you're not already, to be following us on X, to be following us on Instagram at Duke FB Talk. On Facebook, we are almost at 4,000 people in our group at this point. So Duke Football Talk there on Facebook. And then on YouTube, which has really been growing for us, please subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. So if you could help us out with that, if you've got multiple Gmail accounts, log into all of them and subscribe underneath them. That's kind of cheating the system, but please do. And then also share this with somebody that's a Duke fan, a Syracuse fan, NC State fan, share it with somebody. Be like, hey, check these guys out. We would really appreciate it. Before we go, Brian has a did you know? That rhymed. Before we go, here's a did you know?
Thanks for that lead in, Josh. Did you know Otto the Orange has only been the official mascot of Syracuse since 1995? From 1931 to 1978, Syracuse mascot was the Saltine Warrior, a Native American figure inspired by a local legend. The name originated from the region's salt deposits, as well as a local article that claimed Native American artifacts had been discovered during an archaeological, there we go, dig on campus. Although the article was later revealed to be a hoax, the Saltine Warrior mascot remained. In the 1950s, the Saltine Warrior first appeared at a game when members of the Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity began dressing as the Warrior and attended the football games. This tradition continued until 1978, when the university retired the mascot following concerns and complaints from Native American student organizations about cultural insensitivity. Now, 2 years later, in 1980, a new mascot emerged, created by cheerleader Eric Heath. The Orange, initially named Clyde, made its debut on the sidelines. Described as a, quote, juiced up, bumbling citrus from which two legs protruded, the character quickly won over fans. And in December of 1995, the Orange was officially adopted as the university's mascot and renamed Otto. And that was the did you know for Syracuse. Juiced up citrus with legs protruding from it.
Incredible. Well, yeah. So that's embarrassing, but hey, thanks for that, Brian. Always entertaining. Did you know? I believe we're all good.
Yep.
On our end, guys, we really appreciate the support. We really appreciate a couple of you come by and getting a couple of our last remaining T-shirts from Scott on Saturday. Keep it locked here. Obviously, we'll bring episodes, but then looking forward to the next home game, which will be Georgia Tech, and it's like 3+ weeks away at this point. There's 2 road games and then a bye week. And so just keep it locked here, though. We'll continue to bring you content and stay on the social media channels. And we really appreciate your support. Brian, you ready to take us home?
Yeah, like Duke's record, folks, we're 2-2. The first 2 episodes of the season, we went under an hour, and these last 2, we've gone over an hour. We're not perfect. We'll try to get back to 3-2 next week. But that will do it for us. Another episode in the books. We hope to see as many of you as possible in 3 weeks. Again, here's your 3-week warning. Georgia Tech, October 18th. We don't know the time, but we hope to see as many of you as possible. But for Josh Cox, for Jamie Holt, for Scott Medlin, and producer Tyler Witt, I'm Brian Kennedy, and this has been yet another episode of the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast.